Longtime Trump ally Stephen Miller. Y'all know Stephen Miller. He's the person that goes around spreading lies in favor of Donald Trump. Well, Stephen Miller went on to MSNBC to spread more lies, this time about the election, not the current election, but the 2020 election that they just can't seem to get over, and January 6th, what they just can't seem to be accountable for. Miller went on an unhinged rant, at one point accusing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris of child sex trafficking. Fortunately, though, for once, a U.S. media host didn't just sit there and let the guests talk crazy out their neck. Instead, the host, this time Ari Melber, he wasn't having it. Check out this exchange.
You wrote that in on Pence. You played it all the way up to January 6th. You know what happened after that. A lot of other people have been convicted of crimes, Stephen. A
lot of innocent people have been persecuted by a corrupt system. What kind of corrupt system throws Republican lawyers in jail for offering good, sound legal advice, but does nothing with secretaries of state who plainly violated their own state laws and constitutions? How many people are in jail right now? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the #1 traffickers of children, girls into sex slavery on planet Earth. Okay. How many people are in jail for that?
We've gone this far, and we've gone this far in an exchange. We're not doing just anything you want to rip off the internet that's false, and we're not doing defamation here. As you know, there's other Trump allies who've got a lot of trouble for that. We're not doing that here. You want to talk about democracy. You sound right now. I'll let you respond. And we are running over on time, but you sound more outraged about what. Stephen, I'm going to finish the question. I'll give you time. You sound tonight more outraged about what you allege is that double standard, and I've given you time to explain it, than the people who battered the cops and led to deaths and stormed the Capitol. I know in your deposition, because I looked at it, you said you were against the violence. You haven't gotten around to saying that here tonight. Again, it's your time when you answer. But you sound more outraged about that than the actual convicted sedition at the Capitol that day, which, by the way, Donald Trump has floated the idea that he would pardon the seditionists who stormed the Capitol violently. We're running over on time. I will give you a chance to respond to all that.
Yes. I, President Trump, and everyone else have been repeatedly clear about the fact that any violence that took place was unacceptable. That is completely separate and different from throwing a grandmother in jail for 5 years who just said a prayer in a hallway after being ushered in by a Capitol police officer and then left. The weaponization of the government. There's a guy who posted a meme about Hillary Clinton who's in jail right now, Mackey. The weaponization of government is the beginning of the end of American democracy. And every one of your viewers and listeners should understand, when you have a country where you can throw people in jail for violations of misinformation, for engaging in free speech, for engaging in good legal advice, for challenging illegitimate election results, you're not a free country anymore. And I'll tell you the violence I'm outraged about. Right now, there are moms whose daughters are dead and murdered because Kamala Harris let in their killers. And when you have on your program the mother of Jocelyn Nungry, or the mother of Laken Riley, or the mother of any of the other victims, the mother of the girl who was raped in Central Park, any of those families, then you'll be in a position to talk about violence and suffering.
I told you I'd give you time. We're not doing a comparison of me to you on everything, but we've given you time so people could hear, as you said, directly from you. That's something we do here. And we've given you a lot of time, and I appreciate the dialogue. Stephen Miller from the Trump campaign and the Trump White House veteran. Thank you, sir.
Sometimes you just got to let a fool talk.
They're called bionic boomers.
Sometimes
seniors.
You got to just let a fool talk. Stephen Miller, by the way, the first thing you want to know is, yes, he sounds insane. He sounds unhinged, calling Biden and Harris child sex traffickers, and basically, like Ari Melber said, stripping all the craziness off the internet, balling it up into one soundbite and spitting it out. But the fact that he's this crazy and saying crazy stuff would be an afterthought, except that he worked in the Trump administration. He was responsible for immigration policy. Remember the ban era, when the Muslim ban and the this ban and that? That was Stephen Miller. So please understand, the crazy person you just heard is the person that Donald Trump believed should be making foreign policy and domestic policy decisions, really domestic policy decisions about outsiders. And then he's now a primary campaign surrogate for Trump. So Trump is saying this person who says crazy things, who traffics in internet conspiracy theories, was good in the past, and after assessing his record, I still think he was the right choice, and I'm going to move him forward for another round. What's it going to be next? Secretary of State? So please understand what you're getting into when you choose Donald Trump. You're getting craziness like this. But shout out to Ari Melber for actually standing up and speaking out and saying, look, we're not going to allow you to just say anything. Now, part of that is protecting their own legal interests. Like you said, we're not doing defamation here. We're not going to do defamation here. But beyond that, the media has a responsibility to tell the truth. And it's not just my responsibility to tell the truth. It's my responsibility to not allow people on my platform to lie. Because if you trust my platform and you trust that I traffic in truth and the people here don't traffic in truth who are talking, then you know what ends up happening? You end up believing them on my back. You end up believing them on my watch. And that cannot happen. So shout out to Ari Melber for shutting it down. But also let's point out another thing that Ari Melber pointed out, which I think is important. The outrage that these people show about things that did not even happen. The disgust and the moral dismay that these people confess every single time that something happens. From a Democrat, or from a liberal, or from a progressive, or from a radical, from a Green Party member, from a working family member. They can see the failure in all of that, but they can't just speak out against an invasion of the Capitol on January 6th. They can't. They love the police. They worship the police. They have a whole Blue Lives Matter campaign, and yet these people came in and beat up the police too, and they got nothing to say about it. Donald Trump says he's going to try to pardon them. And no, he wasn't talking about the ones that are innocent. They've all been convicted. The ones he was talking about. So instead of talking about sex trafficking that didn't happen, and again, we should be on top of sex trafficking that did happen to address it and to eliminate it. It's disgusting. It's indefensible. But this dude is trafficking in them QAnon fake conspiracies and these fake trafficking allegations when real allegations are right in front of him. They beat up cops. They created the conditions for the death of other people. These are seditionists. Y'all supposed to be so patriotic, and yet y'all come out here talking crazy. So I'm glad that Ari Melber shut him down, that he smacked him down, that he said, we not going to deal with it. And also, like he said, we ain't going back and forth. We are not peers. I'm done. You said what you said. I gave you fair time. It's a wrap. That's how you got to do it. In fact, I would do it even harder next time.